Hey everyone, we're honored to have you here to spend some time with us at Dev Conference. We have some very exciting news to share with you on a new product release called Recipient Connect. My name is Kevin Patel. I'm the product marketing manager for our developer platform. I'm joined today with our product manager, Alan Rosa, who will be presenting on our latest product release, Recipient Connect. During our session, we will cover the following: a quick refresher on APIs and webhooks with a few examples for those not familiar, review how our Connect product currently works today and the customer feedback we received, discuss our new product, Recipient Connect, show a use case video of Recipient Connect, followed by a full walkthrough of the configuration. Then we'll open up for Q&A. So with that being said, I'll pass it to my cohort, Alan Rosa.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, everyone, as Kevin mentioned, we are excited to share with you our newest product called Recipient Connect. But before we move forward, I'd like to take a moment to review our APIs and webhooks for any attendees that may not be familiar. So let's start with what an API is. So an API is a way of requesting and passing information to and from a system. You send a request and you get a response back. Using a real-world example, imagine you're in a restaurant, you can see the menu and you know the kitchen is making the food, but how do you order it? You use a waiter or waitress. The waiter or waitress is the API. They take your request, which would be your order, and they take it to the kitchen, which would be the server, where it is prepared and brought back to you, which would be the meal. So let's talk about what a webhook is. A webhook is similar to an API, but a webhook automatically notifies the system when information changes. With webhooks, your integration stays up to date without continuous updates. So consider this. Imagine you have a friend who throws amazing parties that you don't want to miss. Would you text them every hour to see if they are planning something, just to have them to keep replying no? This is essentially how an API works. Instead, you could tell your friend to notify you when the next party is planned, so you don't keep texting them. This represents a webhook. It's a much more efficient use of resources, and it helps ensure your number won't get blocked. And lastly, another example of what a webhook would be ordering food through a delivery service. You receive status updates when your order has been accepted, prepared, or it's en route for delivery. Now, let's talk about these examples in the DocuSign ecosystem. The example in the API and webhook diagrams is your application, and the server is DocuSign. So in the API example on the left, your system is calling DocuSign, asking for a status update on a DocuSign envelope, like whether the envelope has been signed or not. As you'll see in the API, this can be very inefficient, as it may take days for that recipient to sign. And also at a high volume, this can take up a lot of resources on both your application and the DocuSign server, thus making it difficult for both parties to scale. In contrast, the webhook example on the right, your application set up a webhook configuration in the DocuSign system, having DocuSign tell your application when the envelope has been signed instead. This is very efficient as it removes excess API calls, allowing both parties to scale effectively. So how does this functionality work today? So DocuSign Connect automatically sends real-time envelope data updates to external applications. It is basically a push notification service, except instead of getting a notification on your phone, in this case, it's the customer's application. So as an example, if a customer wanted to get notified when an envelope is completed so that they can save the document in their file repository, they can do that easily by using Connect. Customers can automatically push envelope documents, a certificate of completion, and any document level data to any system of record, such as a homegrown listener. This enables organizations to gain a real-time view into the transactions across their user base in a centralized location. Here on the left, we have an example of an envelope that's been opened. The event of opening the document may be something that a customer will want to be notified about. The customer could opt for a first-party application within our current Connect options available to send over data or use our developer platform for custom applications. We have an option 1 for first-party, we have an option 2 for developer scenarios. Both these options provide the basic functionality for cross-communication, but our Developer Connect allows for unique configurations based on your requirements. So when would you use DocuSign today? So one example is your application needs to react to events in real time, such as notifying a sender when an envelope is completed. This can be important when the account starts sending out high volumes of DocuSign transactions. Another example would be your application needs to start a workflow from an internal system when a specific event occurs on that agreement. One such example would be a bank creating a savings account from the recipient's information after they've signed the agreement. We all want some type of manageable organization of our documents. So by using Connect, you can archive documents from completed envelopes to a custom storage location. And for customers with unique requirements, they would be able to set up a URL listener and implement Connect by using our developer resources. So moving forward here, now Connect has been very helpful for our customers by automating their workflows and extracting those documents over the past 10 years. However, we've become aware of additional functionality that was needed. As Tom mentioned in our keynote, we appreciate the feedback from our customers and developers given back to us here at DocuSign. We became aware that there was a gap as customers started using DocuSign in a way we were not expecting. Connect today only works for senders. As in, to get notifications about an envelope, you need to be the sender or the originator of that agreement. The feedback we received from the community was many of them were not just sending envelopes, they were receiving envelopes from other companies as well. Now, let's say a company wants to automatically save a copy of all the documents for those inbound envelopes. They would not be able to do that with our regular Connect product today. So a use case example of this would be a supplier sends a contract to one of their resellers. This would be an agreement to purchase products, and it requires a signature. The supplier set up a Connect configuration, and they will get real-time status updates on those envelopes they sent out. When the reseller's procurement signs, they are the originator of that agreement, so they will get notifications when that occurs. However, the reseller in this scenario will not receive any notifications other than the standard email. So imagine if the reseller wants to archive those agreements automatically. If the reseller could receive notifications on the envelopes they received, they would be able to store these in their file repository in an automated way. While Connect provides for envelopes when you're the originator, it does not when you're the envelope receiver. So that's why we're so excited to talk about introducing Recipient Connect here. With Recipient Connect, recipients, organizations receiving envelopes will now have the ability to receive real-time statuses, details, and documents for those incoming DocuSign transactions, giving decision-making visibility into those business processes. The data extraction is automatic, reducing that manual effort, and organizations can use this information to drive reporting or workflows unique to their business needs. We think this opens up a completely new signer-side ecosystem for our customers and partners to build upon. Some sample use cases we have are archiving completed documents, like I talked about prior. Now with Recipient Connect, you can automatically store those files for envelopes that are completed. Another opportunity this opens is monitoring. You will now have vision into whether your signers should actually be signing on behalf of your organization. This helps expose more security and compliance rules because you have a full view of what your organization is being sent and what your users are acting upon. And lastly, resource management. We currently have quite a few customers who have built systems where they're doing tens of thousands of API calls a month to pull our API to scrape those inbound agreements out of their DocuSign accounts. Recipient Connect can replace those polling systems, reducing those tens of thousands of API calls and making it very efficient and allowing our customers to scale. So we are very, very excited. And now we would like to give you the world premiere of Recipient Connect. So we have a demo video we want to show you. This is what you saw at the keynote, but we want to refresh it and then dive into further of what this is.
The challenge many companies face in the e-signature workflow is real-time visibility into DocuSign transactions, leading to bottlenecks resulting in the loss of productivity and potential revenue. We are excited to announce a new enhancement called Recipient Connect, webhooks for inbound transactions, which allows recipients, organizations receiving envelopes, to receive real-time statuses, details, and documents for incoming DocuSign transactions. We will go through a common scenario to showcase the increased visibility into transactions across multiple signers and the ability to create custom dashboards to track progress. In this example, we have three main characters: Preston Stanfield, the customer who is filing an insurance claim for a recent car accident; Priya Kokar, an independent insurance agent for Tally Insurance who represents Preston, and Larry Lee, the claims manager at Tally who will sign off on the claim. We start off with Priya, who has received a request to submit a claim to Tally Insurance on behalf of her client, Preston Stanfield. Priya has saved a template for filing accident claims in her portal, which she selects and chooses the order of recipients to sign off. In this case, Preston, the customer, and Tally Insurance. Preston receives an email to a secure link that provides the form to sign, which he can easily open from his desktop or mobile device to execute and submit. Once the document has been opened, Preston can submit a signature, which will then pass the envelope along the queue to Larry Lee at Tally Insurance. The final signer in this flow is Larry Lee at Tally Insurance. Larry will receive an envelope requiring a signature to execute the claim, which we'll get to in a moment. With Recipient Connect, Tally Insurance has built their own envelope dashboard to show their organization how many envelopes are in their queue. Now let's take a look at the envelope dashboard they've developed. With Recipient Connect, customers can create custom dashboards within their own internal application to track their envelopes progress in near real time with recipients inside their organization. Now that Preston has signed the document, Larry Lee from Tally Insurance will be sent an envelope and his pending total will increase from 9 to 10. Using Recipient Connect, Tally Insurance now has greater visibility into what their organization is being sent. This allows them to quickly act upon a bottleneck of envelopes, like Larry Lee having 10 insurance claims that need to be signed. Going back into Larry's portal, we will sign the envelope and finalize his signature on the claim. A quick look back at the dashboard now shows Larry Lee's pending has decreased from 10 to 9. Recipient Connect's webhooks allow for real-time monitoring of the queue rather than constantly pulling the API, which can cause limitations and eat up resources. The configuration will be listed under the settings in the DocuSign portal. Under settings, we have a section called integrations with Connect listed as an option. Here, we can set up the name of the Connect configuration and the link directing to the dashboard they have created. No longer will they need to manually check users' inbox for updates on envelopes. So, to recap, we showcase how 3 separate users from different organizations are able to complete an e-signature transaction. Priya was able to submit a claim on behalf of her client Preston to Tally Insurance, and with the increased visibility, help speed the process of reimbursing Preston. Recipient Connect allows companies an improved workflow with increased visibility and an overall better customer experience.
All right, awesome. I just can't tell you how excited we are about this launch. This has been a lot of work internally from discussions with customers and our product development teams. So I can't tell you how excited we are to get this feature out to you guys. So moving forward here, I'm going to walk into DocuSign and we're going to go through what our current Connect product is. We'll talk about what is available today. Then I'm going to dive into the Recipient Connect configuration and show what's different between the two. And then we'll dive into what that dashboard is and talk more about what's in the payload as well. So an admin would log into our DocuSign account. They would go to settings. And then they'll head down to our integrations and Connect. This is our webhook tool. And then they would click add configuration. So we have a custom solution here. And this is the solution most of our customers are using. This is what I'm calling sender connect. So you have to be the sender of the envelope for this. And now we're going to have a new custom recipient one. This is the Recipient Connect configuration. This is the product. So first, let's talk about what we have available today. So this is our custom solution. This is a sender-based solution. So you have to send out of this account, and then you get webhook notifications for everything within that agreement. You can specify the name, the location of where you want to push this information, and then we have this data format. So this is the format of what we push of how you're going to get that with the envelopes. So we have a REST v2.1 solution. This is our new JSON payload, and we had our legacy XML one. And then within the options, everything within the envelope we can pass to your application. Since this is our current sender solution, you get everything within the agreement because you're the originator of the document. You can specify the users, and then we have envelope and recipient triggers for everything on the agreement. So this is our current solution. Let's talk about the new one. So this is the Recipient Connect solution here, custom recipient. You'll see here it has a very familiar feeling with the old configuration. The setup is identical. You have a name, a URL to publish. Now where things differ is our REST v2.1 JSON format is only supported on Recipient Connect. We do not have XML support for this. And you'll see we have similar include data options. One thing to note on this, Since these users are recipients of agreements, they don't own the agreement. They're not the originator of it, but they do own their information. So let's say a sender or originator enabled document visibility on the agreement, and they restricted one of the pages from a recipient getting a recipient connect. We will respect what the sender set, and we will not pass that document visibility block document through connect. So the recipient, let's say they have 3 documents, the sender is hiding 1, we'll only pass 2 through connect. So the payload may be a little bit smaller than what you're used to if you're using our other solution. We have similar associated users. This is everyone within your organization. And then the trigger events, you don't get all the envelope ones because like I said before, you're not the originator, but you do get all the recipient events for your users in the account. And we have similar security options that we have available in the other configuration. So let's move forward here and let's talk more about the demo. So with Recipient Connect, customers can create custom dashboards like shown here within their own internal application to track envelopes progress in near real time with recipients inside their organization. So we have 5 options here. We have pending, open, auto-responded, declined, and completed. So each of these events within this application pertain to a Recipient Connect event. So let's go into the dashboard. Nice error there. So this is the dashboard. We have the URL here that we're publishing to. It's the exact same one that we built this demo application with. This is outside of DocuSign. This is what you could build within your own system. And you'll see here, we're specifying all the information, and then we're only doing the recipient events. So let's talk about a recipient sent event. If a user within this account was sent an agreement where this Recipient Connect configuration lives, now that we have this configuration set up, we're specifying this application, this pending total for Finance Frank would increase from 9 to 10 because we triggered a new event, and the Recipient Connect event is powering this application. Now, what does that payload look like? What did we actually send this application? So I have a webhook.site here. It's just a dummy listener, so I can show you what the payload looks like. So this is what the event would look like that we sent to the application. You'll see here, it's in our JSON format. It gives you a lot of details on the agreements that you're already used to from our other features. You'll find out who the sender is. You have all your recipients information on here that you have, the form data. Everything here is available on the agreement. We'll pass through this new Recipient Connect. We will also pass all the documents that your recipients have access to. And like I was talking about before, if the sender was hiding a document through document visibility, it would not pass through Connect with this. But you'll notice this is very similar to our JSON format for our other configuration. So Finance Frank was sent this agreement. We passed this exact payload here over to this application, and behind the scenes, it updated this pending. Now let's talk about the recipient completed. Let's say Finance Frank signs one of these. So we would then pass a sent for sent. Now Frank signs it. Now we'll pass a completed event along with that. And we pass this event over to the application. So when Finance Frank signed this, this would go from 9 down to 8 over to the completed, which would increase that total. So you can update these statuses in real time, have a real full view of what your users are signing. And so you can free up those bottlenecks that you may not know were occurring before, because now you have visibility into what your organization is being sent and what they're signing on. So now let's head back to the presentation here.
The challenge many companies.
Got to move forward. There we go. So let's wrap this all together. So what did I talk about before? So with Recipient Connect, organizations receiving envelopes will now have visibility to receive real-time statuses, details, and documents for those incoming transactions. We feel this opens up a completely new signer-side ecosystem for our customers and partners to build upon. And we also feel this gives our customers and partners the ability to transform their business processes through this multi-webhook approach. Recipient Connect brings the other half of the DocuSign transaction into full view. And by powering your application with our Sender Connect, our current Connect product, and now our new Recipient Connect product, you open up a constant data sync with endless signer-side possibilities. Kevin and I are extremely proud to announce that as of this morning, Recipient Connect is now widely available in the Connect offering to our demo and production accounts. Connect is an add-on to our standard package and is included in Business Pro and above, but as of this morning, everyone has access to it as long as they have the Connect package. So to close up here, we have an FAQ here. So we've been getting a lot of these similar questions from our customers who have been demoing this product already. So I kind of want to go through them just to kind of kick this off. So let's just go through the first one here. What is required to set up a configuration with Recipient Connect? So it's our developer solution. We don't have a first-party solution for it. So you'll need development resources to set up and maintain a listener application. And customers who already have an application, this would be very similar to what you did already. And then customers need to use our REST APIs instead of our XML payload for this specific config. What data and event information is available? Like I was talking about before when I was going through the configuration, these events are triggered on what the recipient can see, what the recipient has access to. So it could be a smaller payload than what you're used to. And then the events only fire for incoming agreements if it was sent by a DocuSign account. Now, another one that keeps popping up is how does the payload differ between the two products? So right now, there's no way to actually identify within the payload if this is our current Sender Connect product or a Recipient Connect. So we've seen customers spin up new listener applications for the Recipient Connect config, or they're adding a query parameter to the end of the URL, something like this. This allows them to be able to identify that this was actually, spelling mistake there, that this is actually a Recipient Connect event going to the same listener. This is for customers who already have Connect set up and have our custom solution. This is just a tip that we've seen other customers do. So now I'll kick it back over to Kevin and we'll dive in to Q&A.
Alan, thanks for that. Great information. So we have a couple of questions in our panel right now. So let me start off and I'll kick it off to you. So we have a question asking, when they use Connect to set up the Salesforce, they put Salesforce username and Salesforce password with security token correctly, yet it doesn't connect. What can they do to troubleshoot?
Yeah, so that's a Salesforce question. We can probably take that offline if you want. Another DocuSign team manages our Salesforce config, but we can certainly see how we can get that addressed for you. But since I don't manage the Salesforce feature, I will not be able to assist on that one right now, but we can take it offline.
How can you limit which apps are using Connect webhooks?
Limit which apps? So within the Connect configuration, you have to specify where you want to pass the information to. So you could create multiple different configs, specify the URL, and then also trim down on these events between what's going on. So there's multiple different ways you can limit information or pass it. And there's also a way to associate users as well and limit which ones are triggering those events. I hope that answers that question.
Can Recipient Connect be used to connect to Salesforce? So they want a two-way integration. Oh, sorry. Cut that one.
No, go ahead.
Does Connect and Recipient Connect have a limit similar to API call limits?
So to talk about the Salesforce, we don't have a connection to our Salesforce config right now.
Sorry, this is not for Salesforce. This is strictly for Connect.
Oh, for Connect.
Yes.
So yeah, there's not an API limit for our customers that should be aware of. Our JSON does have an API limit on the back end, but it's nothing our customers have to worry about. Like our customers aren't limited to anything. And as of right now, we'll be able to scale our API fully here. So there is an API limit, but it's nothing our customers should be worried about.
Is Connect and Recipient Connect configured applicable to account level or envelope level? Meaning once configured, is it applicable to all documents?
So our current product has account level and envelope. Recipient Connect will just be at the account level right now. So no envelope level access, because the envelope level access is when you're sending the agreement out, you're receiving these agreements. So it's hard to tie an envelope level Recipient Connect to something that's already been sent out that you don't have access to, other than what you're being sent. Hope that answers.
Yeah, I think so. We have one more question coming in. So yes, regarding the Salesforce questions, we'll answer those on the chat in a couple of minutes. We have 3 questions coming in right now.
All right.
So it's exciting, right? It's deployed today. It's available for release. how do you specify in an envelope which connect config to use?
So you're not, these are, the recipient connect is an account level config. So you're not specifying this in any envelope. So when you set this up, it'll read all the envelopes coming into the account automatically. You don't have to do anything. Now, if you're talking about our other solution, there's an API call that you add within when you send the envelope out, where you can specify a sender configuration in that. But with Recipient Connect, it's account level. It doesn't matter. Once you set it up, it'll start firing off once agreements come into the account.
And we have time for about 4 or 5 more questions. So, Alan, how long have you been working on this project?
Well over a year.
A lot of hard work.
We're really excited to see what customers do with it.
I mean, the stat you shared with me about how we can have from 10,000 calls a day down to single digits, that's amazing.
Yeah, we didn't have an offering before to free up those resources for our customers, and now we do. So we're really excited to see what they build with it. Beyond archiving a document, we were showing a dashboard here. There's endless possibilities that we haven't even thought of. So we're excited to see what customers build, and we love to hear more feedback about it as well.
I mean, that's how Recipient Connect was started, right? We got feedback from the community on what they wanted the enhancements to be. So who knows what, Recipient Connect version 3 is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Any other questions coming in, Kevin?
Do we have any other examples of use cases besides the one presented?
Yeah, so archiving the completed documents one, we showed the demo here. There's a lot of them we haven't thought of, but you can automate a lot of processes off a Recipient Connect event. So if you want to kick off next steps in like a workflow, different scenarios like that, those are other things you can accomplish. A lot of our customers within the payload, they'll ping off one specific point within these options and then trigger a workflow off those. Or customers will download the form data to kick off workflows as well. But we pass all the tab data and everything within it, and you can store that in other systems and different things like that. Hope that helps.
I believe we answered this, but we'll just reiterate it again. Is there a special license involved?
No. So as long as you have the Connect package today, a Recipient Connect is available to you. If you're below our Business Pro, it is an add-on to our standard package, though.
I think we have time for 2 more questions that are coming in. Just bear with me a second as they type them up.
Did it come in? Let's do one more. Your mic cut off, Kevin.
Better? Hello? Test. Good?
Yeah, you know.
Okay, so we got, I think, time for one more if it comes in on time. Just waiting for the response to finish up.
Okay. Just let you guys, I'll be in an AMA tomorrow. If you have any questions about Recipient Connect or Connect as well, we can certainly get you someone to help with the Salesforce questions too.
We're getting close to time. Hopefully these questions come in.
Okay.
Is it bad practice to use both DocuSign Connect and DocuSign API to integrate the same external system?
No, we actually see a lot of customers just use our service as an eventing service, meaning they're just getting a status update and then they're doing API calls off of that, like to pull the documents. That's actually our recommended path. It's more efficient. You're not waiting for a giant payload that could be, dozens of megabytes to pass through Connect. You're getting a very small event status. So to show you as an example here, customers will just subscribe to a very limited payload to get the status. They won't pass the documents there, they'll pull it because you'll get the event a lot faster because these agreements sometimes can be very large and they take time to generate in our system and to pass over to your system where you have to process it. So we actually recommend customers get the smallest amount of payload they can receive and then do API calls off of them. But it's certainly okay to include documents if you need.
All right, we have time for one more question. Can you use this to have the app send notifications?
So you can't push notifications out of this product. We're more sending you information to this URL. So you're not going to be pushing notifications out of this platform, but it's more us pushing this information over to wherever you specified this information. I hope that helps answer that one.
I think that's all the time we have today. Again, we thank you guys for attending. We're very excited to have this product released today, and we hope to have you guys use it soon and get some feedback on how we can keep improving. So thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good one.